One must have chaos within oneself to give birth to a dancing star. Friedrich Nietzsche. Look in the mirror right now. What do you see? I'll tell you what most people see. They see a stranger, someone wearing their face, but living someone else's life, going through the motions, playing a character, putting on a show. And deep down, they know it. You know it too, don't you? That's why you're here. That's why something inside you is screaming for change. Because you've been living a lie for so long, you've forgotten what the truth feels like. But here's the thing. The truth is still there, buried under years of be nice, fit in, don't make waves. It's waiting for you to dig it up. Friedrich Nietzsche understood this better than anyone. He saw through the comfortable illusions that keep us trapped. He knew that finding yourself isn't about positive thinking or following your passion. It's about something much harder and much more rewarding. If you're ready to stop pretending and start living, stick around. Because what comes next will change everything. Let me tell you about Nietzsche. This guy didn't care about making friends. He cared about waking people up. While everyone else was playing nice, he was asking the hard questions, the uncomfortable ones, the ones that make you squirm in your seat because they hit too close to home. He looked at society and said, "This is all made up, isn't it?" He looked at religion and said, "God is dead, and we killed him." He looked at morality and said, "Who decided what's good and evil anyway?" These weren't popular opinions. Still aren't. But Nietzsche wasn't trying to be popular. He was trying to be honest. And here's what he discovered. Everything you've been told about how to live, what to value, who to be, it's all just someone else's opinion, dressed up as universal truth, sold to you as the way things have to be. But they don't have to be that way. You don't have to live by rules you never chose. You don't have to want things you don't actually want. You don't have to be someone you're not. The training wheels are off. You're free to be yourself, if you have the courage. Step 1. Break free from the herd. Here's what nobody wants to admit. The crowd is not your friend. Think about it. From day one, you've been shaped, molded, trained to fit in, to not rock the boat, to be acceptable. Your parents meant well. They wanted you to be safe. Your teachers had good intentions. They wanted you to succeed. Society has its reasons. It wants to avoid chaos. But here's what they didn't tell you. All those rules, all those expectations, they're not written in stone. They're not handed down from heaven. They're just opinions, preferences, ways of thinking that worked for some people, in some places, at some times, and they might not work for you. Look around. How many truly alive people do you see? Not just breathing and working and paying bills, but actually living, following their own path, creating their own meaning, being themselves without apology. Not many, right? Most people have given up. They've traded their dreams for security, their authenticity for acceptance, their potential for predictability. And they're terrified of anyone who refuses to do the same. When you start to think differently, you become dangerous. Not because you're going to hurt anyone, but because you remind them of what they've lost, what they've given up, what they could have been. Remember the kid in school who was different? The one who got picked on? That wasn't about them being wrong. That was about everyone else being scared. Scared of standing out. Scared of being different. Scared of the responsibility that comes with being yourself. Don't be that person. Don't let fear keep you small. Start questioning those voices in your head. The ones that say you can't, you shouldn't, you're not good enough. Ask yourself, where did these voices come from? Are they even yours? Usually they're not. They're echoes of people who were afraid of your potential, who wanted to keep you safe in the comfortable mediocrity of the herd. But you don't have to stay there. You don't have to listen to them. You don't have to live their life. Step 2. Embrace the beautiful struggle. Here's something the self-help gurus won't tell you. Finding yourself isn't easy. It's not a weekend workshop or a 30-day challenge. It's hard. It's messy. It's uncomfortable. And it should be. Nietzsche knew this. He said, "No price is too high to pay for the privilege of owning yourself." He understood that real freedom comes with a cost. We live in a world of quick fixes, instant solutions, life hacks. But there's no hack for becoming yourself, no shortcut to authenticity, no easy path to freedom. When Nietzsche was 29, he wrote about taking the difficult path, the one that leads to isolation, to struggle, to the kind of challenges that most people run from. Being alone isn't fun, but it's part of the price you pay for owning yourself. You can't hear your own voice when everyone else is talking. You can't find your own way when you're following the crowd. Sometimes you have to step away, distance yourself, choose the harder path. Real freedom means being free from your own impulses too. Not letting your emotions drive you around like a drunk driver. Learning to observe them, understand them, choose which ones to act on. When you feel that urge to complain, stop. Ask yourself why. When you want to please everyone, pause. Figure out what you actually want. This isn't about becoming successful by society's standards. This isn't about impressing people or building your personal brand. Those are surface games. Nietzsche goes deeper. The real fight is internal. The struggle is to find yourself, and this requires sacrifice. It might mean losing friends who don't understand, changing your lifestyle, giving up comfortable routines, looking at your fears instead of running from them. You have to face your demons, not to destroy them, but to understand them, to learn from them, to integrate them into who you're becoming. Get out there. Experience life. Try new things. Make mistakes. But do it all consciously. Be present. Be aware. Be yourself. Because if you don't experience life fully, you can't claim you've lived it. How far you go depends on how much you're willing to pay. To own yourself completely, you have to walk a path no one else has walked. Because you're unique, and no one can walk your path for you. Step 3. Create your own meaning. He who has a why can bear almost any how. This might be Nietzsche's most practical insight. In a world where old sources of meaning have crumbled, where traditional answers don't satisfy, where do you find purpose? You create it yourself. For centuries, religion provided the framework. The answers were given. The meaning was assured. But as society became more secular, more scientific, people started asking, what now? What's the point? Why does any of this matter? Without meaning, people drift. They become apathetic, nihilistic. They fill the emptiness with stuff, with status, with distractions. But none of it works. The emptiness remains. So Nietzsche offers solutions. 3 ways to create meaning in a world that doesn't hand it to you. First, replace old sources with new ones. Art, music, literature, philosophy. These can give you what religion once did. They help you understand your suffering. Put your struggles in context. See that you're not alone in the human experience. But don't just consume them passively. Use them as tools for living. Read history not just for facts, but for wisdom. Watch tragic plays not just for entertainment, but to find beauty in sadness. Study philosophy not just to sound smart, but to understand yourself. Second, become your own authority. Nietzsche called this the Übermensch, the person who creates their own values without reference to outside influences. Someone who takes full responsibility for their own meaning. This isn't about being arrogant or selfish. It's about being authentic, looking inward, figuring out what you actually value, not what you think you should value. Very few people achieve this completely, but you can move in that direction. You can start taking responsibility for your own life, your own choices, your own meaning. Third, love your fate. Amor fati. Accept everything that has happened in your life, good and bad, as part of your story. The failures, the successes, the pain, the joy. It's all contributed to who you are right now. This doesn't mean being passive. It means embracing your entire experience, finding meaning even in the worst moments, seeing your life as a story worth telling, even with all its plot twists and difficult chapters, because it's your story, and it's the only one you get to write. Step 4. The ultimate test. Here's Nietzsche's ultimate thought experiment. Imagine a demon appeared to you and said, "You have to live this exact life over and over again, forever. Every moment, every choice, every joy, every pain, repeated eternally." How would you react? Would you curse the demon? Despair at the thought? Or would you say, "Yes, this life is worth living infinitely"? This is the test of authenticity. If you can't imagine living your current life forever, you're not living your own life. You're living someone else's version of what your life should be. Nietzsche called this the greatest weight, the crushing feeling that comes from realizing you're trapped in patterns you never chose, relationships that drain you, work that doesn't fulfill you, habits that make you feel empty. How many times have you found yourself in the same toxic situation, the same dead-end job, the same unfulfilling relationships? If you keep repeating the same mistakes, you haven't formed your own values yet. You're still following the herd, still doing what you think you should do instead of what you actually want to do. But once you figure out your own values, the weight lifts. You stop making the same mistakes because you're no longer following the same faulty programming. You start making choices based on what matters to you, not what impresses others, not what seems safe, not what's expected, but what feels authentic. With every decision, ask yourself, do I want to do this forever? If the answer is no, change course. Find a different way. Create new values. True freedom lies beyond society's definitions of right and wrong. Most of us live in self-imposed prisons, furnished with beliefs that cage our wildness and individuality. But the door is unlocked. You can walk out anytime. You just have to be willing to take responsibility for what comes next. Breaking free requires a transformation, a personal revolution. You need courage to challenge tradition, society, and even the people in your life who prefer the old version of you. This doesn't have to be dramatic or destructive. It can be calm, smart, and deliberate, but it has to be definitive. Start by making a list. What limits your freedom to be yourself? That job that demands you hide your personality? That relationship where you can't speak your mind? Those friends who criticize you for being authentic? Once you identify these limitations, develop strategies. Maybe you need to have honest conversations. Set boundaries. Find new environments where you can be yourself. When you feel crushed by the weight of a life that isn't yours, don't hide your true aspirations. Break out of your self-made prison. Chase the dreams that give your life meaning. This isn't about being selfish or hurting others. It's about being honest, living authentically, taking responsibility for your own happiness instead of expecting others to provide it. Let me be clear about what this costs. You might lose friends who preferred the version of you that never challenged anything. Family members might not understand why you're changing. You might face criticism from people who benefited from your compliance. You'll probably spend more time alone. Question yourself more often. Face uncomfortable truths about who you've been and who you want to become. But here's what you gain. You gain yourself. Your real self. Not the performance you've been giving, not the role you've been playing, but the actual, authentic, irreplaceable person you were meant to be. You gain the ability to look in the mirror and recognize who's looking back, to live according to your own values, to create meaning based on what actually matters to you. You gain the freedom to fail on your own terms rather than succeed on someone else's. To make mistakes that teach you something rather than play it safe and learn nothing. You gain a life worth living forever because it's genuinely yours. Becoming yourself isn't a destination. It's a process. A lifelong journey of questioning, evaluating, and creating. Every day brings new choices, new opportunities to either conform or rebel, to either accept the easy path or choose the difficult one, to either live according to others' expectations or your own values. The herd will always be there, ready to welcome you back. The comfortable cage will always have room. The voice of conformity will always whisper that you're being too difficult, too demanding, too much. But once you've tasted the freedom of being yourself, really yourself, it's hard to go back. Once you've experienced the satisfaction of living authentically, shallow pleasures lose their appeal. The person you were meant to be is still there, waiting under all those layers of conditioning and expectation. Still hoping, still possible. All you have to do is start digging. The question isn't whether you're capable of finding your real self. You are. The question is whether you're brave enough to look, whether you're willing to pay the price, whether you're ready to lift the greatest weight and live a life worth repeating forever. Your real self is calling. Every time you feel restless in a meeting that doesn't matter, every time you bite your tongue when you want to speak your truth, every time you choose safety over authenticity, that's your real self, knocking on the door of your consciousness, asking to be let out, asking to be heard, asking to finally live. The mirror doesn't lie, but it doesn't have to reflect a stranger forever. You can choose to meet yourself, to know yourself, to become yourself. The journey starts now. Will you answer the call?